Happy Tuesday, everybody. Every October, I look forward to, that's right, National Mushroom Day. This year, we're going to feature portobello mushrooms with a butternut squash risotto. I have already taken half of this butternut squash and roasted it in aluminum foil. Nice. That way, I could scoop out the inside, use the outside as a vehicle for our rice, and we can all be joyous, and I can be that fun guy. What do you say we make some mushroom rice? All right, so we're gonna take our giant portobello. I am going to take out the stem. The stem is flavor, so we're gonna use that. I'm also gonna take out the ribs. If I don't take this out, then my nice butternut squash and mushroom risotto is gonna be brown and blackish. So it kind of dirties up the pond there. So we're gonna just take a spoon and gently scoop out the ribs. And if you really wanna get crazy, you can then peel the portobello, and then you'll have a nice white mushroom. Depends upon how far you wanna go with it. Then we're gonna dice our mushroom. Set that aside. We're gonna take our raw butternut squash and I'm gonna peel it. Definitely easier to peel when it's whole, but because of the circumstances, this is what we're presented with. Ideally, you take the two large, thick parts of the butternut squash, and I'm gonna grate this on a cheese grater. And you take I took the seeds out with a spoon. Take the bottom parts and you roast them, and then you scoop it out and use that for more flavor, more better. So, but for all intents and purposes, we're gonna grate this like cheese. Also, you can dice it if you want. In fact, we'll grate half of it and dice the other half. That way we have different textures going on in our rice. Now, arborio rice, it's a short grain, starchy rice. Arborio rice, or risotto, is what it's called when you're finished with it. We need to cook it slow, stirring it in order to remove the starches from the rice. That way it becomes creamy. We're gonna cook this all together. All right, let's get boogieing. First, we're gonna take our hot pan. Good amount of oil. We're gonna onions, our squash, and our mushrooms. Give our onions just a little bit of color, not too much. And then we're gonna put in all of our other stuff. The mushrooms are gonna soak up all that oil. And the moisture from the mushrooms and the squash is gonna start releasing into the pan, which is exactly what we want. So we don't wanna season this too much, but we do want to season it a bit. We wanna season it as we go. We're on a medium flame here. See how the mushrooms soaked up all the oil? Pretty dry. So we're gonna add a little more oil because now we wanna toast the rice in it. So we take our arborio rice into the pan, and then we wanna toast it in the oil with the vegetables. I'm using a spatula or a wood spoon. It just makes it easier because when we start cooking the rice, start adding the liquid, the starches are gonna start to release and it's gonna start to stick. So it's easier if we use a spatula or a wood spoon. That way we're not scraping the bottom of this pan. Now I have hot chicken stock. We're using hot because if you use it cold, as we add it to the rice, the starches in the rice will seize up and it'll take longer to cook and it'll stick to the bottom. So we're taking hot stock and we're gonna add it a little bit at a time, just enough to cover. And the beauty of the risotto is while we're cooking it, we're stirring it so that the starches get released from the rice into the mushrooms and the squash. We let it sit, we let it come to temperature, we give it another stir. The rice absorbs the liquid. We add some more liquid because nobody likes crunchy rice. We want it al dente, but we don't want it raw. We're boiling a little bit. We're giving it a stir, making sure it doesn't stick. It's not your regular rice. Regular rice, you just throw in 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, some salt and oil, and let it roll. This, you have to stir it out because we want the creaminess. So we let the rice absorb the juice. Our liquid is starting to evaporate. We're gonna add a little bit more liquid. It's a 2-ounce ladle, so 4 ounces. Again, we're gonna stir it up again. While that's absorbing, we'll give it a sec. We're gonna take our roasted half a squash. Wanna be gentle, taking the stuff out, as best you can. Give it a little mash, and then we use that for later. I'm gonna do this risotto tonight. That's why I made a lot of it. So I'm gonna take some out of the big pan into the little pan so that I can show you how I wanna finish it. So the risotto's al dente right now, as you can see. It's al dente. We're gonna give it a little more chicken stock just so that the rice absorbs the last bit. While that's happening, I'm gonna add a spoonful of our roasted squash. And just kind of incorporate that in. That's gonna give us sort of a thick, creamy, what we're looking for in a risotto. And then finally, I'm gonna finish it with some white cheddar cheese. And then we're gonna turn it off the flame. And then we're gonna stir it in. Now, we let it sit. Let the last few minutes of the heat in the pan help the risotto to absorb the last bit of liquid and give the cheese a chance to melt. So now that the pan is finished, our risotto, we now get to spoon that creamy, delicious, earthy rice into the top of our butternut squash that we preserved, that we waited for. A nice little flow. Some spring onions, scallions, give it a little crunch. Happy Mushroom Day from Flavor Kitchen and the top of the butternut squash.